Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me today. My presentation is titled Emotional Education for Boys Insight from Raising Cain. This is based on the book by Dan Kindlon and Michael Thompson. The first issue we'll discuss is the lack of emotional literacy among boys. According to Kindlon and Thompson, boys are often socialized from a young age to suppress their feelings. Phrases like man up and don't cry condition boys to disconnect from their emotional selves. To counteract this, classrooms should integrate emotional education directly into their day. This can include morning check ins, where students share how they're feeling, or using literature and role play to help boys identify and express emotions. The Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning, or CASEL, strongly suggests SEL as a system to improve both academic performance and emotional well being. From a biblical perspective, we remember that Jesus in John 11:35, showing that emotions are human, holy, and healing. The second issue is the damaging culture of toughness. Boys are often taught that real strength comes from emotional suppression. Kinlaw and Thompson argue that this mindset alienates boys from their own feelings. And as educators, we must build classrooms that allow vulnerability without creating shame. Strategies include setting classroom norms that promote empathy, showcasing stories of emotional courage, and building trust through mentorship. Mentorship is very important because it allows modeling and it shows the children how these behaviors can be negative or how they can be positive. As can be seen in this picture, this boy has a smile on their face, and mentorship can bring a lot of wholeness and healing and happiness to a child because it benefits them. In 2 Corinthians 12:9 reminds us that God's power is made perfect in weakness. In our faith, vulnerability isn't weakness, it's spiritual maturity. The third issue is how boys tend to externalize emotions, particularly through anger or violence. This often masks fear, sadness, or even confusion. We can teach boys to communicate more effectively by implementing conflict resolution activities and emotional regulation strategies. Nonviolent communication models and structured physical outlets like sports or brain breaks can also help. In my classroom, Calm Classroom has been a great resource to teach children these coping mechanisms to offset their emotions, like extreme emotions like sadness, fear, or anger. In the Bible, Jesus said in Matthew 5:9, "Blessed are the peacemakers." Helping boys find peace in their hearts equips them to bring peace to the world around them. Another major concern is the absence of male role models who embody emotional health. Many boys don't see men openly expressing emotions or modeling healthy relationships. We can change this by inviting male guests to share their stories, encouraging male teachers to demonstrate emotional openness, and introducing boys to male characters in books who exhibit depth and vulnerability. King David in the Bible wrote Psalms that beautifully expressed his emotional highs and lows. He's a prime example of a man after God's own heart, flawed, but emotionally honest. Again, this ties into the boys being able to express their emotions in a healthy manner. Instilling these coping mechanisms in them will help them in their adult life be able to handle these extreme emotions rather than having outbursts instead. The final issue is how academic struggles are often misinterpreted as behavior problems. Boys are more frequently labeled with ADHD or conduct issues because their emotional needs are misunderstood. Solutions include flexible seating, kinesthetic learning options, and close collaboration with school counselors. We need to interpret behavior as a communication, not misbehavior. This is very important as teachers can often be triggered by students in the classroom and their behavior, but it's important to realize that those are signals from these students that something bigger is going on in their head or in their life environment, and these are things that can be taken as a signal that the child needs extra help in certain areas, including how to handle their emotions. Jesus modeled this when he saw Zacchaeus not as a corrupt man, but someone seeking love and connection in Luke 19. He responded to Zacchaeus' heart, not just his actions. One powerful strategy is the integration of social emotional learning. SEL helps students understand and manage emotions, build healthy relationships, and make responsible decisions. Research by Durlak and colleagues shows that SEL programs significantly enhance student outcomes in both academics and behavior. Spiritually, SEL aligns beautifully with Mark 12:31, which tells us to love others as ourselves, a principle SEL helps boys live out every day of their life. Another effective tool is literature. Stories allow boys to connect with characters who struggle, grow, and express themselves, both fictional and biblical. Using books like Hatchet or Bible narratives like Joseph's Journey, we can spark discussions and reflections that promote empathy and emotional insight. Journaling and empathy maps can further enhance this connection. Jesus, the master storyteller, used parables to teach empathy, grace, and self-awareness in Luke 15. We can do the same through intentional literature choices. Faith-based mentoring provides spiritual and emotional anchoring for boys. Programs like Boys of Honor or Father-Son retreats nurture identity, confidence, and compassion. Research from Rhodes shows mentorship reduces risky behaviors and builds resilience. It also gives boys a picture of what godly manlyhood looks like. Proverbs 27:17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another." Faith-led mentorship can transform a boy's life trajectory. In summary, boys are emotionally rich beings living in emotionally barren cultures. As educators and Christians, we are called to see them, guide them, and help them thrive, not just academically, but emotionally and spiritually. Whether through SEL, storytelling, mentorship, or rethinking discipline, we can shape a generation of boys who are emotionally intelligent and spiritually grounded. Let's answer the call of Micah 6:8 to act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with our God as we nurture the emotional lives of the boys in our classroom. Here are some of the references I used for this PowerPoint. Thank you for listening.